Good evening, you're watching Maisha Prime News. My name is Rida Kevin.
In terms of creating an alliance that would be good for this country.
So we sit sometimes and talk about very many issues. Chris was a visionary person who had a passion for excellence and wanted only the best for the country. Okay?
Welcome. Days after President Uhuru Kenyatta declared that he will support a successor among his 2017 opponents, the Jubilee Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju has confirmed that the Jubilee and ODM parties have begun talks aimed at forming a coalition. And as Mshebi Junior reports, the two parties had begun cooperating in and out of the August House and were looking for ways to formalize their alliance.
It is the season of political alliances, coalitions, betrayal, defections, and collaborations again as Kenya gears up for 2022 poll.
There's a serious deficiency of trust.
Bado vitu vinaundwa.
Na ndipo tulikuwa tunasukuma BBI. BBI sio ya kutafutia mtu kiti.
After the brotherly handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga in 2017 that gave birth to BBI, the political unity is now slowly escalating to a high five over coalition between their national prominent parties Jubilee and ODM.
Well, there's been something going on between Jubilee and ODM, courtesy of the party leader of ODM and the party leader of Jubilee Party since 2018 after the handshake.
Jubilee Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju has finally confirmed Jubilee and ODM are in talks, and he says they will release the commitment report in 14 days. The SG say that the two parties will field one presidential candidate in the 2022 general elections.
Have active engagement in terms of creating an alliance that would would be good for this country.
Tuju said that the parties will take their handshake relationship a notch higher by forming a coalition. Speaking today on Friday, June 18th, Tuju noted that the two parties are working together for the interest of the members of the public and help to unite Kenyans.
What we are now doing is to be able to formalize the relationship between ODM and Jubilee in a more formal way, so that then we can work together.
Tuju stated that in case of an agreement between ODM and Jubilee, the new coalition will have one presidential candidate. At the same time, the Jubilee leader also stated that they are open to any other political party that is interested to join.
Leo ni leo.
This comes just a day after Sonar East Member of Parliament Junet Mohammed hinted at an alliance between Jubilee Party and ODM.
The way we've been working in Parliament, there's been consultations at that level, and we've been working in some small way outside Parliament, but not so much. And as we head towards 2022 elections,
Speaking on Thursday, June 17th, the National Assembly Minority Whip said big things were about to happen ahead of the 2022 general elections. In attendance were Junet, Raphael Tuju, Jubilee Vice Chairman David Murathe, Deputy Majority Whip Maoka Maore, and Orange Democratic Movement Secretary General Edwin Sifuna. For Maisha TV, Bushabi Jr.
NASA leaders Raila Odinga of ODM, Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper, Moses Wetangula of Ford Kenya, and Musalia Mudavadi of ANC were among the national leaders who attended the memorial service of the late industrialist Chris Kirubi, which was conducted at Faith Evangelistic Ministry Karen in Nairobi County. Those present at the service mourned Kirubi as a successful mentor and coach who helped raise a generation of entrepreneurs and corporate leaders. Let's have a look.
Chris was a giver. I remember in 2017 when we went around the country praying for the nation.
Billionaire Chris Kirubi, who died on Monday, age 81, was eulogized by his family as a loving and caring figure who looked after the interests of his own selfishly during his memorial service held at Faith Evangelistic Ministry in Nairobi, Karen.
We'd almost always get into an argument about something. It was our manly Kirubi way of telling each other that we'd miss each other. And it used to be quite profitable for me. Before I stormed off and got in the car, he'd always make sure at the end of the argument that my pockets were filled with either US dollars or pounds. I remember one particular discussion. I asked Dad, have you ever thought of what you will do when you retire from work? I blame my youth and naivety at the time. As you can imagine, things went downhill very quickly. I'll spare you the blow-by-blows, but we got into a very technical discussion about the definition of work. Dad was extremely vocal and clear that what I did at DHL was work. There was absolutely nothing about what he did every day that could be classified as work. That conversation came rushing back to my mind over the last few days. As he annoyingly always was, Dad was right.
Popularly known on the airwaves as DJ CK, Kirubi was named the second richest Kenyan by Forbes in 2011 in a list topped by the families of the country's founding leader, the late President Jomo Kenyatta. He also made it to the top 40 rankings of African richest, having been listed at position 31 with an estimated net worth of $300 million. Dr. Kirubi also chaired Hako Industries Limited, Kiruma International Limited, International House Limited, Nairobi's Bottlers Limited, Sunvik East African Limited, and DHL Kenya. The industrialist was also director at Centum Investment, East Africa's leading investment company listed on the Nairobi and Uganda Securities Exchange. President Uhuru Kenyatta mourned Kirubi as a seasoned businessman, entrepreneur and industrialist who founded and successfully ran some of the Kenya's largest corporations. Alongside running a successful business empire, the president mourned the late Kirubi as a successful mentor and coach who helped raise a generation of entrepreneurs and corporate leaders. The head of state eulogized Kirubi as a cheerful, approachable and accessible corporate leader who loved people and interacted with all Kenyans. During his speech, the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga revealed that it was the late businessman Chris Kirubi who convinced him into a political deal with the retired President Mwai Kibaki following the disputed 2007 presidential election. Raila said that Kirubi, alongside another individual he did not mention, approached him and managed to convince him to meet Kibaki.
Chris came and passionately pleaded with me to agree at least to have a dialogue with Kibaki at that time. He was so passionate, and because of the old time's sake, I said, well, I'm ready. And then arrangements were made for this meeting in Sagana with Kibaki. Eventually we managed to come up with a compromise solution, and the Grand Coalition government was formed. That day, when we were there, when they played the music, Jerusalem, and me and Chris danced, crazy Jerusalem, that video went viral, me and Chris dancing Jerusalem.
On his part, the Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka was also present at the service, revealed that it was Kirubi who negotiated for his vice president slot in 2008. Musyoka said the businessman approached him after the Bengal presidential election in 2007.
Fem Family Church, together with the leaders, and to bring condolences from my husband, the Deputy President of this great republic. He is not able to be with us today, but he asked me to bring his condolences and together with our family. And from my own personal encounter with Chris, allow me to say one thing. I know James Moria has talked about the attributes of Chris, but I think he forgot one that I would like to say. Chris was a giver. I remember in 2017, when we went around the country praying for the nation, during the electioneering period, we were concluding here in Nairobi, and I approached my spiritual authority, Mam Teresia Wairimo, if we could do the final prayer in Uhuru Park. And we came together to put money together to be able to do that event. And I remember Mom asked that we could invite the late Chris Kirubi. And we had a dinner here in the church to raise funds for that prayer meeting in Uhuru Park. And I remember when I stood to speak, the late Chris Kirubi asked me how much money we needed for the event in Uhuru Park. And when I gave him the figure, he said that he was going to pay the entire amount and that now dinner should be served.
Maisha TV. And over 4 million votes will be up for grabs as the electoral body sets out to register youths who are now eligible to elect their leaders. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Chairman Wafula Chebukati earlier on said that the youths being targeted in the latest registration campaign were not eligible to vote during the 2017 general elections. Politicians are now expected to retreat to their strongholds to urge the young Kenyans to register as voters in order to claim a share of the huge block.
We are targeting 400 this week. But to be sincere, the number of IDs out there for people who are not registered are very many. We had a stakeholder meeting this morning with the officers of the National Registration Bureau, that is the officers who issue identity cards, and they emphasized that they have issued very many IDs, some sub-counties to the tune of more than 1,500. But when we get to our records, we have not captured 1,500 new voters. It shows our youth out there have the identity cards, but they are not registered. So we shall continue reminding them. We shall also continue visiting them in the polytechnics and in the higher institutions of learning like universities, and also in some secondary schools where we have students who have attained the age of the majority.
We move to northern Kenya, where residents of Takaba in Mandera West Sub-County have been urged to help the national government in the fight against the Al-Shabaab group by sharing the information on suspected persons. The regional security officer in the area have revealed that a section of Al-Shabaab members have crossed into new areas in Mandera County early this year and might be planning to recruit young people, as Amoga Shane reports.
Residents in Mandera County have been put to task in helping the government wipe out the Al-Shabaab terror attacks in the area. Regional security officers in the area have revealed that the Al-Shabaab militants, who have caused half of them loss of lives in the area, have crossed into new areas in Mandera early this year and might be planning to recruit young people. Speaking at a public forum in the area, Northeastern Regional Commissioner Nicodemus Ndalana has appealed parents to keep in touch and know the whereabouts of their children who can easily be swiped into joining the Al-Shabaab groups.
Nini tukubali hii watu watuzuie? Hiyo furaha tungekuwa nayo na pesa devolution hii watu wezi enjoy. Barabara haiwezi jengwa hapa, shule haiwezi jengwa, chochote hakiwezi fanyika kwa sababu ya hii watu.
Area Governor Ali Roba also reiterated Ndalana's statement while cautioning residents in engaging in any kind of businesses with the wanted militants.
Vitu ambao kidogo inasumbua serikali akili. Hawa watu wanatembea namna gani? Wanapata chakula namna gani? Wanapata maji kutoka wapi? Hiyo ndio kitu inawasumbua zaidi. Wakifanya hivyo ndani ya Kenya ama Mandera ama Garissa ama Wajir, walikuwa wanaua wa Somali peke yao Somalia. Lakini sasa walipojua ya kwamba Wakenya wameelewa, wamerudi kwa ile mode yao ya Somalia ya kuua indiscriminately.
Si lazima bunduki ama bunduki. Si lazima silaha kubwa kubwa. Mimi najua Rajaa mwenyewe akikataa akisema hii watu hawezi pitia hapa, hawatapitia kwa sababu kitu moja, mtatupatia ujumbe. Kitu kingine iko mtu alisema hata mnaweza piga kelele mkiona ambao watu si wa huko kwenu.
However, the residents have also called the government to deploy more KDF officers in the areas.
Serikali muangalie Mandera County na macho mzuri, hasa Mandera West. Hapa ndio mahali ilikuwa na security. Sai security yetu hata sijui vile tutalala. Hata sai tunagoba hapa.
Wale wanaweza tafuta watu wale wanaishi hasa wa Mandera West, ndio wanaweza tafuta hiyo adui, inaweza pata hiyo watu tubatie nguvu pamoja na serikali na raia.
The best meetings is in line with the recent incidents of ID and Ghana attacks on all major roads leading to Mandera that has led to cutting off public transport. Earlier this month, 3 people including 2 police officers were killed in a suspected Al-Shabaab attack on buses and police escorts at Kumatu area, which is between Ola and Semayu. Reporting for Maisha TV, I'm Amoga Shane.
The government has declared 13 counties individually and collectively as COVID-19 hotspots. The counties 6 from Nyanza, 4 from Western and 3 from Rift Valley region have consequently been placed under 7 p.m. and 4 a.m. curfew, among other containment measures.
The government has revised the curfew hours for 13 counties in the Western region from 10 p.m. to 7 p.m. The counties are Busia, Vihiga, Kisii, Nyamira, Kakamega, Kericho, Bomet, Bungoma, Trans Nzoia, Kisumu, Siaya, Homa Bay and Migori.
Masaa yenye wameweka ya curfew inatuumiza kama aswa sana kama sisi wa mama wafanya biashara.
The counties were individually and collectively declared as COVID-19 hotspot zones. However, the ongoing nationwide curfew shall continue to be observed in the rest of the country from 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. daily.
Tutatoa wapi pesa? Wanataka tuibe? Haya, alafu next year mtataka tuwapigie kura. Kwa nini? Ndio hiyo. Sisi hatutaki mambo kama hiyo. Sisi kama wananchi wa Bungoma tunasema sisi hatutaki mambo na curfew ya saa 1. Sisi tunataka tuongezee masaa ya kufanya kazi kwa sababu wengine wetu sisi ni wanabiashara, tujaandikwa na mtu yote.
In revised containment measures notice, Kagwe said the curfew exempts essential and emergency services in the hotspot zones. All cross-border cargo drivers shall be required to possess a valid certificate indicating a negative COVID-19 test that was conducted no more than 48 hours before commencing their journey, and each cargo truck shall be limited to only 2 persons per vehicle. Kagwe said the attendees for funerals within the hotspot zone are capped to a maximum of 50 persons until further notice. All forms of physical or congregational worship that include churches, mosques, temples and shrines in the hotspot counties are suspended for a period of 30 days.
Maandiko yanasema ya kwamba tusikose kusanyika kama ilivyo desturi ya wengine.
Kuna hali ambayo ni ya utata kisiasa, hali ambazo hazileti amani, hazileti umoja. Wakati huo ndio haswa serikali ama wanasiasa hutambua kanisa, kusema kwamba kanisa lituombee.
Kanisa ikiwa ni sehemu ambayo inaendesha taifa, kwa sababu ujue kutokana na maombi ya waumini na wale ambao wameokoka wanamfuata Mungu, wao ndio wanasimamisha nchi. Na kwa hivyo ni vizuri sana wale ambao wanahusika na mambo kama haya, ni vizuri sana wakati wanataka kufanya maamuzi waweze kujua kwamba ni vizuri waweze kuzungumzia kanisa ili waweze kupata upande wao.
Kanuni moja ya ibada ni ushirika. Kwa hivyo nafikiri serikali ingepeana idadi ama pengine ingepunguza idadi ya wale wanaoingia kanisani na kuweza kushiriki katika ibada. Kama kwa mfano kulikuwa na kiwango cha watu 100, wanaweza punguza kufika 50 ama 30. Lakini kukataza kabisa kwamba hakuna ibada, basi inaleta changamoto kwa sisi ambao haswa tunategemea ushirika ili kwamba ibada iwe na nguvu.
Kwamba serikali ishatoa amri na hivyo lazima tutafuata, na hivyo naimiza wenzangu ambao ni watu ambao wanamjua Mungu popote utakapokuwa.
Tukubaliana na jambo hilo kwa sababu serikali na kanisa hufanya kwa pamoja, tena kipamoja. So jambo ambalo liko pia nitaweza kuzungumza, serikali pia ingejaribu kuangazia habari kama zizi nyumba za burudani, mabaa, mahali kuna vinywaji na vileo. Nafikiri pia hao wangeweza kuwa wamefungiwa kwa sababu mahali pale wakati watu wanapokuwa katika starehe zao hawajijali kabisa.
He also added that the employers, including the public and private sector, the government offices, businesses and companies in the hotspot zone are advised to allow the employees to work from home with the exemption of employees working in critical or essential services. All hospitals within the hotspot zone are directed to limit the number of visitors for the hospitalized patients to 1 visitor per patient and part-time until further notice. On Wednesday, the Interior CS Fred Matiang'i had warned that the government might announce restrictions in some Western and Nyanza counties to tame the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking at Kenya School of Government, Matiang'i said they are monitoring the trend and will announce the way forward soon. Maisha TV.
And that's all we had for Maisha Prime News. My name is Rida Chabet Karim.